Okay, thanks very much for having me. First of all, pay tribute to the work that's been put in to tonight. If truth be told, I'm normally a lot more active in assisting with the setting up of a meeting like this. I've had several meetings with the fellas from Hereford, but in the last few weeks things have rather blown up at Coventry, for instance, so I've been a bit distracted working with the Supporters Trust there on what we're trying to do. But the results of the labour they've put in over the last several months is here for all to see. And I know that speaking to George, for instance, before this evening, he was quite worried about what the turnout would be. But look, well done, and thanks for everyone for turning up. It's a great show of support, especially when you bear in mind there was another meeting last night that wasn't so well attended. Ultimately, if you form an organisation like this, it's not the people on the stage who will be the engine of that organisation. They've got it this far. What happens next is you decide whether or not you want it. It's the most pure form of democracy you'll ever take part in. It's voting for something to exist. It's a great feeling, but that means you've got some commitment to put behind it. That's when the words have to be converted into actions. And ultimately, the talent in the fan base is what will drive the organisation, its ability to achieve. I've been doing this job since 2004 for my sins. I won't drone on about being a Wimbledon fan, but that's my background and why I got involved working as supporters director. I was involved in the campaign to first save and then reform the club back in 2001-2. So I have a very acute feeling of what being a fan is really about. I'm not saying I'm any purer than anyone else, but I think we've gone down to the depths and, like Newport County, have had to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves down and get on with it again. And it's a tremendous feeling, I can also say, when the achievements are your own. And I wouldn't have it any other way to be able to say that when we achieve, I achieve as well, and all my members, fellow members at the Dons Trust who own the club do too. As an organisation, as organisations, Supporters Trusts have been around for 21 years. Actually, the first one was formed in 1992 by Brian Lomax, who was a fan of Northampton, and instead of once more rattling the buckets to bail out a bad owner, he came up with a genius idea of saying, well, if you want us to rattle buckets again, and also they had a terrible problem with the ground. I'm sure there are probably many Hereford supporters who went to the old county ground. Then you'll have to give us a place on the board. So that happened, and the idea didn't take off to its fullest extent until 2000, when the government at the time decided to back the formation of the organisation, which incidentally is where the government involvement ends. Just to be clear, we're actually not funded by government, but government makes it a lot easier for us to exist because it supports us, as do all the parties in all the major parties in Parliament. But from then on, we, as an organisation, have worked with groups of fans to achieve many things, not least of which are represented here tonight. Newport and Kidderminster, being able to get the levels of success they've had this season. Part of that is down to a very firm, solid base. And I know in the case of Newport County, in essence, without the Supporters Trust, I don't think they would have got promotion. I think that's pretty clear, because they worked from within to reform the club, and they didn't do it on the basis of being nice people who would paint the fences, run the bar, whatever it was. They did it on the basis that they occupy places in the boardroom. They deserve to be there as any other director does, and in fact they're more legitimate than any other director because they represent many, many, many more people. And when they go into that boardroom, they're speaking for all these people and their hopes and fears, and I think it's one of the great unsung stories of Supporters Direct over the last 13 years in the trust movement, what's happened at Newport. I'm not just saying that because you're here, I genuinely believe it. So we've formed 180 other organisations across the UK that's working in Scotland. We've also expanded into the rest of Europe. I'm just coming towards the end of a period of time working in countries like Belgium, Spain. We even work in Germany to encourage the fan ownership structure they have there and support a group of Superba who lobby to keep that system in place, which has become so well heard of in the last few months, especially in the last week or two now. We've got an all-German Champions League final at Wembley Stadium in the Football Association's 150th year. Ultimately, we can help you to achieve what you set out to want to achieve within the confines of the rules that we establish, which are cooperative essentially. So I know that, for example, George works in a cooperative. There's plenty of people who will shop in cooperatives and have some form of understanding of them. They don't turn a profit, they turn a surplus and you reinvest it. So it's about running a football club really in the way we think it should be run as fans, which is, well, you spend your money developing the football club, you don't spend it on paying out dividends to shareholders, for instance. Would a club ever make a profit? And ultimately, it's about trying to be as constructive a part of the ownership of the football club as possible. Whether you're in a very fortunate position like me, where as a fan I'm a member of the Dons Trust, which owns the whole of AFC Wimbledon, or whether you're in the position of someone like Kidderminster, where you've earned yourself a place on the board, you've striven hard for that, and you're trying to change the culture of the club. But when supporters direct leave, although we are still there, that's when you've got to get and do your work, and you will be provided with immense support as a result. I do hope that can be said to about the trust movement supports who are by the people present tonight from other trusts, that this is a network of groups, of clubs, of football clubs that try to pull together, and we're all in it for our own club, but we're also in it to change football because we're not happy with the way the game is run in this country, and that's why I like to think this movement has been so successful. When it comes down to results, we run good football clubs as fans. We play constructive roles in our clubs. We improve the game. Swansea City got to the Premier League a couple of years ago, and people still haven't stopped talking about them. The role they played is akin to what the role that Newport County supporters just to play in their club, and they've made sure that they've remained a central part of that. Ultimately, whatever happens today, and whatever happens to the football club over the coming weeks and months, I would hope you focus on developing your role and don't become too distracted by the machinations of people who've not shown the greatest ability in running a football club that I've ever seen. In the end, the success or failure will be yours, but you've got an enormous well of some nearly 400,000 other people all over the UK and even further afield willing you on, because we've all taken similar paths as fans. And that's it, that's the key really. In the end, you're all Hereford fans. I'm not, you're not, you are. You're the ones who are going to make this work if it works. And judging by tonight, I think that probably spells is a rather good sign as to what the future holds. So best of luck, and I'm around all night. I'm very happy to talk and answer any questions you've got, either at the end of this session or when we're having a beer at the end. So thanks very much.